Soul, here we go. Welcome to another episode of Soulcast. I am Freddie Frijole and joined by my soulmates. That's Christy the Cross-Eyed Kitty and Bobby the Brown Bear. Let's get into the markets today. If we look at Bitcoin, we're sitting at 45,400 right now, down 3% on the day. Rough week for Bitcoin this week, down 10% on the week. Really a rough week for most cryptocurrencies. We were probably due for a pullback here, so not all too surprising. We'll see what happens going into the weekend, and hopefully we can have a bit of a recovery. ETH in the number 2 spot, currently trading just below $3,300, down 6% on the day, down almost 17% this week. And, I've been hearing some people talk about bullish selling with ETH. That is actually a good thing when ETH is sold or traded on ETH Layer 1. One of the proponents of this being Anthony Sassano. Now, I really like Anthony Sassano. Good guy. Love his show over on YouTube, The Daily Way. You guys should check it out. But I do disagree with him on this point. He made this actually back in August and has been talking about this bullish selling this week on his YouTube channel. He mentions back in August, once EIP 1559 is implemented, every time someone sells ETH via a DEX, it will be bullish for ETH. Why? Because every DEX trade on layer 1 has to pay gas fees in ETH, and most of these fees will be burned. We invented bullish selling. Checkmate, bears. So that's his tweet. I really disagree with this sentiment. I think first off, anytime someone's getting rid of your coin, it's probably not a good sign for your ecosystem. And secondly, I just don't like the idea that, to swap right now on ETH, it's what, $30 just to swap from one coin to another. The fees are really ridiculous, and kind of celebrating these fees, I don't think is a good thing. I think that if something is going to bring down ETH, it'd be, the failure to get ETH 2.0 in, and the fact that on ETH currently, the fees are just way too high. Now they got the layer 2s. I don't think there's a whole lot happening on the layer 2s actually right now. I haven't seen a lot to get me excited over there. I am on Polygon, previously known as Matic. I have taken the bridge over and done some DeFi there. It's nice for DeFi. But as I mentioned, in terms of NFTs or anything like that, I don't think it's very clear or straightforward how you bring an NFT over to layer 1. Perhaps there are ways, but certainly it's not straightforward at this time point. So this sentiment that's actually a good thing, or that there's this bullish selling, I think is really kind of ridiculous. I think this is kind of some of the old thinking that is really a danger to ETH right now. ETH needs to continue to innovate as quickly as possible. As more time goes on that their chain is unusable, or at least unusable to 99% of the people like you and I, the more time these other chains have to catch up. And once you get on a chain and it's working well, you're paying low fees, transactions are fast, what's the incentive to move over? So right now, in terms of myself looking at buying NFTs, I went off of Ethereum because I didn't want to have it on a layer 2, and I didn't want to have to pay $150, $200 to get an NFT, to mint it. So looking further down here, we have Solana. We're in the number 6 spot. Pretty big news actually this week that we passed XRP to take that 6th spot. If you look, it's super close right now. We just are $1 billion over XRP in terms of market cap. $50 billion for Solana, $49 billion for XRP. It was Solana did have a bit more of a lead. However, the recent drop the last day or two here have made XRP make up some ground. So on the day, Solana down 11%. We're sitting at $177. However, on the week, we are up almost 25%. So still a killer week here. Probably we were due for a correction. I mean, I remember buying Solana at $75 after the first pump and thinking, oh, this is probably dumb. Gonna get blown out here. And then before you know it, 2 days ago, we're sitting at 217. So this is probably, you don't often see growth this quick. As I mentioned yesterday, there are reasons for the growth. In my opinion, the ecosystem or the Solana blockchain is the most usable right now of any blockchain out there, just in terms of transaction costs, transaction times, and the apps that are built out on the platform. There are some bears out there, predicting a short-term downfall in the Solana price. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see that happen. We are probably due for a correction here. Solana price prediction: sold uptrend in jeopardy as sell signals emerge. This is on FX Street. They note here that Solana price rose 58% from the September 7th swing low and set up a new all-time high at $216.91. They're saying that it could be looking at a minor correction, and that a breakdown of the $160 support level will invalidate the current bullish thesis. In a second article on FS Street, they're really hitting this hard. They're saying that Solana price is primed to drop by 40% and test $115. They note Solana is extremely overbought on both the daily and the weekly charts. They say that a bearish shooting star candlestick pattern at the extreme new highs indicates that the top is likely in. And also note that Solana has experienced no meaningful pullback for the last 8 weeks. So FX Street is definitely bearish on Solana right now. I would not be surprised at all if it did drop to that 115 level. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised to see it go up to 300 either, the way it's been going. We will have to wait and see. What I can tell you is, from personal experience, there are things you can do on Solana. It's fast. They have low fees. That's the reason I'm on it. That's the reason I created the channel. I think that there needs to be more coverage of this blockchain. So perhaps the biggest altcoin mover this week, right here at number 17, we have Algorand up to $2.02. It's down 17% on the day, but up 62% this week. Algorand is killing it. For those of you that are not familiar with Algorand, this is another layer 1 blockchain. They use proof of stake. I'm pretty sure they're actually the first blockchain to come out with proof of stake. So there's an article here on Cointelegraph looking at Algorand's price rally. So they mentioned that institutional investment, new governance features, and a groundbreaking project with the government of El Salvador are just a few factors behind Algo's rally to new all-time highs. So of note here, of course, there are new projects coming out of Algorand. It's a pretty exciting blockchain, I'd say. They talk about El Salvador building on Algorand. The sudden surge in price and trading volume for Algorand came following El Salvador's announcement that it is now recognized as legal tender. So Algorand now legal tender in El Salvador. Additionally, El Salvador has also selected Algorand's blockchain to help develop its own blockchain infrastructure. Now, if you look at this, I think that this is a better currency than Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin is really digital gold. It's not really set up to be traded or used as a currency to buy a cup of coffee. I think on Algorand, you have a better chance of doing something like that. And I am bullish over on this blockchain. I think I might convert a bit of my ETH into Algorand. I hate doing that when it's up 60% on the week. But I might go ahead and do that anyhow because I do see a strong future for this project. And I see it as a bit of a hedge for ETH 2.0 coming out. If ETH 2.0 fails, that's the transition of ETH from proof of work over to proof of stake. If that were to fail, I think that Algorand could really be a huge competitor, and who knows, maybe take over ETH at some point, or Solana. So the thing about Algorand, it's already running proof of stake. It's already doing what Ethereum is going to try to do in ETH 2.0 sometime next year, most likely. So they've already shown that they can do it. They've implemented the protocol already, really started with that proof of stake protocol. And as we go forward here, I think that there's a lot of potential. So some of the critics of Algorand say, well, this is too centralized. It's only more centralized than Ethereum, I think, because it's a younger chain. Ethereum was quite centralized when it began. So Algorand is younger. A lot of the validators are controlled by the original investors within the project. So it is centralized in that way, but that's really no different than how Ethereum started, when there was much more centralization. And as Algorand builds out, I think that if it had the same community size as Ethereum, it would be just as decentralized. So really a strong competitor, I think, here. And I think Algorand could be a good hedge against ETH. Again, this is not investment advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but just my thoughts on that topic. So moving on here, we got a couple more pieces of news. Panama unveils bill to make Bitcoin legal tender. So this is on MSN, covered by the major national media. And what could be the beginning of a global trend? Panama is exploring a fast follow of El Salvador's official embrace of Bitcoin. The day after El Salvador adopted Bitcoin as legal tender, Panamanian Congressman Gabriel Silva introduced a bill designed to provide legal, regulatory, and fiscal certainty to the use, holding, issuance of digital value and crypto assets in the Republic of Panama. So we'll see what happens with this bill. It'll be very interesting to see whether Panama follows El Salvador in terms of making Bitcoin legal tender. But certainly on a global scale, we are seeing the adoption of cryptocurrencies. In addition to legalizing Bitcoin and other types of cryptocurrencies that are decentralized, there's also several countries that are looking at making centralized blockchain-based currency. Again, here around the globe, this is kind of an interesting article on Cointelegraph. Blockchain-based platform for fractional property ownership launches in India. So the RealX blockchain-based platform allows Indian investors to buy and sell direct deeded co-ownership of holiday properties. So this is just currently launching in India, kind of a timeshare, I guess, but built on a blockchain instead of using traditional methods. It's not clear yet how the Indian government will respond to this initiative or launching of this platform. However, again, we're just seeing every day more and more articles. I could show you several more and more articles coming out about the global adoption of either blockchain technology or different types of cryptocurrencies. Now getting a bit more into the Solana-based news. Here we have Sam Bankman-Fried. He sees growing institutional interest in Solana. So they note here that Solana is a crypto network challenger to Ethereum and that it's seeking more interest from institutional players. Now the Sol token, which is linked to the network, has more than quadrupled, as we know, the past month. Solana bills itself as the world's fastest blockchain, and its website says the average cost of transaction is 0.00025 cents. So in easier to understand terms, you can run 40 transactions on Solana, and they'll cost you 1 penny per 40 transactions. And that's really great. You know, that really enables us to do things like gaming or NFTs that are small dollar amounts, even things like on social media, if they go to this idea of on Facebook or on Twitter where you can actually tip somebody with a like, and you give them a fraction of a cent. I think that on the Solana ecosystem, that's something that could be possible, particularly as computing power continues to advance, as we've seen over the last few decades. So, you know, this makes me think as well, this article, perhaps what we'll see in the future is Ethereum might be I guess, more of the grandfather smart contract blockchain, where it is, you know, very well known. It's been around for a long time, and you'll have more or less the 1%ers on there. You'll have people that are doing DeFi with millions of dollars, or the NFTs that are, you know, worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. In that case, who cares if you're paying a couple $100 to do a transaction? If you are working with, you know, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, it doesn't really matter. And then it is also quite decentralized and secure. So we might see a world where Ethereum becomes perhaps like the elite blockchain, where the richest and the biggest assets are held, and then most of the common people are on other blockchains like Solana, or who knows, maybe Algorand. I think this is a definite possibility. Now, this doesn't take into account ETH 2.0. If ETH 2.0 is successful, there will be a big drop in the cost of transactions. I've heard estimates of about a 90% drop. So that's great, but if you're looking at a $100 transaction fee right now, or as I saw myself a couple weeks ago, $200 to mint an NFT, that means that you're still going to have what, a $10, $20 charge for an NFT. I still don't really want to pay that much. If I can do it on another blockchain and do 40 of those transactions for a penny, I think that there's some serious issues with ETH. I think that they need to really speed up as quickly as possible in getting ETH 2.0 out, but it also needs to be successful. They can't have a hitch there. It's a bit of a risky play. It sounds funny to say that because ETH is so big and so well known. It's the number 2 by far, but it's a little bit risky. There's risks out there that I don't think everybody is seeing. Okay, so moving on here on our Solana news. StarLaunch, a Solana launchpad by CardStarter. So this is again on Cointelegraph. They discuss here the launch of a new project accelerator and launchpad for the Solana network, CardStarter. So they had, it's called StarStarter rather. StarLaunch. Third time's the charm. StarLaunch, made by the same folks that made CardStarter. So the StarLaunch community will enjoy guaranteed allocations following a familiar tier system, coupled with the same insurance program offered on CardStarter. Projects and investors will enjoy a smooth experience with the easy know your customer process. Candidate projects will be incubated in the StarLaunch propulsion program, will be provided with direct access to an extensive network of internal partners. So why Solana? Well, this team believes that 2-layer platforms are not viable for the long term. Additionally, Solana offers affordable, low volatility transaction fees at an average cost of, as I mentioned, a 40th of a penny, as well as incredibly fast transaction times. They're saying here up to 65,000 transactions per second and theoretically up to 700,000 per second. So just put that into perspective, Visa cards can run about 25,000 per second. So this is really, really huge numbers, and they're leading the way here with their proof of history based blockchain. So I think that this is interesting, this idea that the CardStarter and now StarLaunch team doesn't feel that 2-layer platforms are viable long term. That's going to be interesting to see play out. I kind of agree. At least at the moment, if they make really good bridges and they make things seamless between layer 1 and layer 2 where you don't even know that you're on a layer 2, I think that could be successful. But to, first onboard into a layer 1 and then have to tell people, well, next you got to go to our layer 2 because layer 1 you can't really do anything because it's too expensive. That's a hard sell. It's a lot easier, especially in terms of adoption, just to get people into layer 1, do whatever you want. So long term, I think that they're right that this 2-layer system is going to be difficult. If it's going to work, it needs to be seamless. You need to have it so that people don't even know that they're going on to a layer 2. Perhaps we'll get there. We'll have to see. And lastly here, we've got an article. This one is on the Defiant. FTX taps Solana and sports legends to score big in NFTs. So I mentioned this yesterday that FTX was launching their NFT marketplace. It holds both Solana and Ethereum-based NFTs. They've now also signed both Tom Brady as well as Steph Curry to be spokespeople for FTX. And really anything that FTX does is going to be beneficial for Solana. They're tightly linked with Solana. They want to see success of Solana. It's part of the reason we're seeing such tremendous growth right now. And FTX is throwing just a ton of money into advertising. I didn't really know what FTX was until a month or two ago, and I follow this stuff closely. But now they're all over the place. They're advertising. They got these spokespeople. I think that this is a good thing for the community. And I actually just saw Tom Brady's commercial came out. He and his wife Giselle have a pretty good commercial. Check it out on YouTube. I'll link it in the description if you are interested. I should also note here that in addition to Tom Brady and Steph Curry, FTX also paid $135 million for the naming rights to the arena where the Miami Heat basketball team plays its home games. So here you can see it's the FTX Arena now in Miami. So it'll be determined whether all this big advertising pays off in the long run. Certainly, it is bullish for the cryptocurrency world in general, and really, I think particularly to Solana, since FTX really wants to see the success of Solana. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Hope you all have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next time. So long.